Hey guys, welcome to my Black Mage guide. First things first, before we get into the mechanics of this fight, you must assemble your party. Arguably, this part is harder than the actual boss fight. Who should your party members consist of? Ideally, you want at least one person with the job-specific bind that can target more than one monster, and a person with a elusive bind. But don't be too stressed out if you're missing one of the two. Now comes the question. What stats and levels should everyone have at the minimum? Well, in this table right here, a level 275 should have 55k stats, 270 should have 60k stats, 265 should have 65k stats, 260 should have 70k stats, and 255 should have 75k stats. These stats and levels will give you approximately a 30-minute run. Overall, it will take your party anywhere from 20 to 30 tries to get the first clear with everybody alive. The further your party is from the minimum stat requirements listed here, the longer your party has to stay alive, which means the more errors you guys can potentially make. Now let's get straight into this boss fight. In this whole 60-minute long fight, you will have 12 life counts total, indicated by the red dots on the circly thing. HP death will remove one of your lives. Getting hit by a white mark while you still have a black mark, and vice versa, will remove one of your lives and skill lock you for a few seconds. This whole fight will have various attacks that will inflict white and black marks. Make sure you know them by heart. These marks last for around 6 seconds, although depending on your ping, they can last for 10 seconds. Keep in mind that the black curse will potion lock you. However, you will mainly be focusing on dodging white marks for the whole fight. Phase 1 is the hardest phase in this boss fight if you don't execute your strategy properly. You will rapidly lose many lives. There are two knights that greet your party upon entrance, a white knight and a black knight. Attacks from the white knight will inflict a white curse, and attacks from the black knight will inflict a black curse. They have 3 main attacks: dash towards you, push you back with their weapons, and dive into you. Standing under the dive is instant death. Every so often, red lightning will spawn across the map. They do 99% damage to your HP. You can teleport over them, or you can use dark sight to avoid them. Each end of the map will have walls that shoot up every so often and limit the size of the battleground. Don't stand on top of them while they're spawning, or you could kiss your ass goodbye. White meteors will also fall every so often. They do 50% damage and inflict a white curse. You can simply walk in between the gaps as they're falling, or teleport in between them. Darksight also works. Multiple black chains will also stab you from time to time. They inflict the dark curse, and you can avoid them by moving out of the target area. There are 2 main strategies for phase 1. The first strategy is for parties that have a person with a job-specific bind that can target multiple mobs, such as a Kana, a Dell, or Zero. Upon entrance, all party members, except the binder, will flash jump to the right and out of sight of the 2 knights. Don't go too far though. The binder will attack and aggro both knights and try to have them stack on top of each other. Once they are bound, party members will rush over to the knights and begin bursting. Before the first bind is up, a elusive bind must be casted. Make sure you overlap your binds just a little so that the knights never free themselves. Otherwise, you guys will have a fun time dealing with these 2 knuckleheads. In any case, if the knights do free themselves, make sure you keep your calm and keep white bound at all times. Otherwise, it will be a complete shit show. The second strategy is for parties who do not have a job binder. Upon entrance, one of you will bind the white knight with Urda Nova, and everyone can begin bursting. Once the black knight stacks on top of the white knight, one of you can elusive bind them both together. Those are the 2 main strategies for phase 1. If you guys mess up the bindings really badly, run away and avoid the white knight at all costs until your binds come off cooldown. Then try again. Don't be too frustrated if you guys don't get this part down in the first few attempts. It took my party a few tries to get phase 1 down. This video will cover phase 2 of the boss fight. I think this phase is one of the easiest stages once you get the hang of it. It took me maybe 10 practice runs before I started really getting the hang of this, and not really die more than once, if at all, in this phase. That said, you still shouldn't take this too lightly, because if the stars align, it can definitely screw you over pretty badly. He can and will combo all of his attacks at once. So in this fight, you want to mainly stay in the middle right side of the map. You can venture out to the left side if you have to dodge something, but it's generally not advised to go too far left because of the rolling meteors. They will always fall from the right to the left side. White curse mainly comes from three sources in this phase: white meteors, rolling meteors, floor spikes. Both rolling meteors and white meteors do 50% of your HP, so make sure not to get hit by those back to back. The same strategy for dodging white meteors in phase 1 applies here. You can walk in between the gaps as they're falling to the ground or teleport through them. You can also use dark sight if you have that. For purple meteors, also known as the bane of my existence, as a class with almost no vertical mobility, they will always fall top right of the map to the bottom left of the map. Afterwards, they'll roll on the ground towards either the far right or far left side. Once they hit the walls, they'll break. To avoid them, you can run to the right and flash jump, or up jump against the wall on the right side just before they come into contact with you. You can also up jump and or flash jump over them as they roll towards you, going from the right to the left. Keep in mind that the front hitbox of the rolling meteors is a lot bigger than the backs, so time your jumps early. If you ever mistime your jumps for this, you want to hit your Urda's Will or Hero's Will right before you get white cursed. Lastly, as a last resort, you can also use Blink to teleport to a random position in the map. This should not be used if you have other measures of dodging these meteors, because it is super unreliable and can teleport you into your demise. The floor spikes do 90% of your damage, so it is essential that you avoid them. You also get white marked by them if you get hit by them and not die. The safest way to avoid them is to jump into the far right or left corner. I suggest jumping far right rather than far left because of the way the rolling meteors fall. Also, if you got a big hitbox like Kaiser's final form, going to the far left is not a safe spot. He will also blind you to limit your vision from time to time. When you're first starting out and he blinds you, I suggest you jump to the far right just to be safe. Make sure there are no white meteors or other things that could kill you though. Blind and spike combo is quite common in this phase. Once you get to the hang of it, you will eventually learn to see the spikes on the floor and react accordingly, even if you're blind. Unfortunately, sometimes you can have a very unlucky run in which he blinds you, summons spikes, and white meteors at the same time. At that point, you just gotta react and hope for the best. Use a will or iframe if necessary. Black curse comes from two sources: the chains that periodically stab you, and his two floating energy balls, or eyes, whatever you want to call them. To dodge the chains, you just have to move while you're attacking. It is instant and will follow you around a bit, but it's not a huge concern unless you stay in one single spot for an extended period of time. His two energy balls are not major concerns either, as long as you don't stay inside of them for a long time. Unfortunately, sometimes you will summon a middle FMA, and you're forced to stay in the middle with two eyeballs. At that point, iframe it or just hope for the best and move slightly left or right until the FMA ends. Warrior Link can possibly save you once here. Lastly, FMAs. There are three types of FMAs. You must focus on his hands to tell which side of the map is safe. Left FMA has this animation right before it happens. It means the left side is safe. Right FMA has this animation right before it happens, and the right side is safe. Middle FMA has this animation before it happens. The middle is safe. FMAs happen every 60 seconds after the white shield spawns. Make sure at least 2 party members keep track of the FMA timer so you guys know when to look at his hand animations. To minimize the energy ball and middle FMA combo, don't stand right on top of him before the FMA happens. Phase 3. The longest and most complicated phase in Black Mage, requires the most skill and, more importantly, patience. White Curse is inflicted by platform creation and destruction, white meteors, rolling meteors, and Black Mage's knockbacks. Black Curse is inflicted by the dark floating pellets that the angels shoot and the lasers. There are also other little annoying little objects that inflict stuns and reverses. They don't inflict curses, but can be annoying and can get you marked if you aren't careful. The red meteors inflict key reverse, and the blue meteors inflict stun. Black Mage has a barrier that you will have to stand inside of to deal full damage, otherwise your damage will be halved and your healing will be halved. His barrier will shrink as his HP gets lower. There are 3 barrier sizes: large, medium, and small. In this phase, you want to position Black Mage between platforms 4 and 5, as indicated here. If he is too far right, you don't have enough space to dodge purples and white meteors, lasers, and whatever else that comes. If he's too far left, you will have to deal with the rolling meteors that come crashing down, amongst other things. The Dark Angels also shoot pellets towards the middle. The red and blue meteors float around the middle as well, so you don't want to be too far into the middle. When platforms are created or destroyed, you don't want to be near them, otherwise you take a white mark. Platforms are created at random times throughout the fight, and all platforms are destroyed after each FMA. They spawn in the same location every time. The far left platform and the far right platform are always the biggest platforms. If you're near platform number 4, make sure to duck when it is being destroyed or created. Also, when an FMA ends, be careful not to jump from one platform to another or you will get white marked. These platforms are very useful for dodging white and purple meteors. They offer you a safe spot to stand under or stand on sometimes. Be sure to utilize this. The big right platform is my favorite platform because it is just a godsend for dodging purple meteors. However, keep in mind, as long as you're in range of his push attack, you will still get pushed and marked. For instance, if he's too far right and he does his push attack, you must time your jump so that you're in the air when he's pushing. Otherwise, he'll knock you off the platform and get you killed. I won't go too much into how to dodge the whites and purples because that was already covered in the previous 2 parts. For phase 3, just keep in mind all of the platforms, even the middle and left ones, can help you in dodging purples, but you have to pick the right ones that is outside of his push range. As for lasers, he does 2 types, super and regular. Super lasers do 50% damage to your HP and regular does around 25%. He does this animation before super laser spawn. Ideally, you want to dodge as many lasers as you can. For dark pellets, you don't have to worry too much about it. Just stay towards the middle right area and you should be fine. Now, the FMAs. These happen every 60 seconds after the white shield spawns. He does 2 types of FMAs. For FMAs, you want to get on a platform or iframe it. For down FMAs, you want to be under platform 1 or 6 because these 2 usually offer the biggest chance of survival. If you have an iframe, I would save it for down FMAs because those can be a shit show. You also need someone or 2 to keep track of the FMA timer. Ideally, you want to have someone to also scout to see if there is a big left platform 10 seconds before the FMA happens. Lastly, and most importantly of all, I suggest having one person count out push 2, 3, 4 throughout the entire phase to time his knockbacks, which will be the major cause of death in this phase when timed together with lasers. His knockbacks will happen once every 4 seconds. The idea is if the person isn't counting, Black Mage can use his knockback at any time. If the person is counting, then feel free to attack him as you please. This was a key point for my party because it helped us get the rhythm down. Unfortunately, BM isn't one of those fights where you can just whack him and call it a day. You need to feel the rhythm of his pushes. Black Mage can also suck you in before he pushes, so always be on the lookout for the suck. The suck doesn't really do damage or any curse marks, but it does screw up your rhythm, and you can't be sucked when you're on a platform, so maybe get on top of a platform sometimes. Be sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you're getting value from this video. Now for the last phase, phase 4. There is nothing special about it. There are 3 main things to watch out for: FMA, explosions, and the chain of bullets he shoots. Upon entering, make sure you equip the black aura. If you're not equipped with the black aura, hit the NPC key to switch to the black aura. Join the dark side. It offers you potting abilities. Now, make sure you don't have a curse on you when you switch auras, otherwise you can take a curse death very easily. In terms of positioning, I wouldn't move around too much recklessly. Make sure every movement you do has a purpose. If you just jump around for the hell of it, you will lose a lot of HP very quickly. I found that the more you move, the more bullets you take, so unless you're dodging a stream of bullets, FMAs, or explosions, I would just stand still. Obviously, don't stand too close to him, because if you do, you won't have enough time to react to certain things. In this phase, whatever color you're equipped with, you will not take damage from. So, if you have the dark aura, you won't take damage from the dark explosions, bullets, and FMAs. The explosions do 50% of your HP, so you want to do your best to somewhat avoid them. The FMAs happen every 30 seconds-ish, and you want to just stand on the color that you are. Try to stand further from him so you can avoid his bullets during the FMA. The bullets do minimum HP, around 10%, but taking a lot of them back to back will get you killed, especially if you stack them on top with the explosions. Anyways, that's it for this phase. You now have the knowledge to clear Black Mage. Congrats for making it this far. Keep in mind though, this is only information. You must apply it and practice it to get the results and get that first clear. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed this series. I will see you all in the next video.